All right. This is the notes for 5-4. I think I hit record. Yep, I hit record. So these are the notes for 5-4. So the first one's solve an equation with one radical. So what we want to do is get the radical by itself, and then we want to square both sides, or in the case of a cubed root, we want to cube both sides. So on the first one, we're going to add 1 to both sides. That way we get our radical by itself. And then 3 plus 1 is 4. So now we can square both sides. All right, the square is going to be the inverse operation of the square root. So they're basically going to, you can think of it as canceling. It's not really canceling out, but you can think of it as canceling out. And we get x plus 5 on the left. And on the right, 4 squared is going to be 16. We can subtract 5 from both sides. So we get a solution of x equals 11. Okay, on these ones, though, we want to be careful. A lot of times, or sometimes, especially when you square a radical or cube a radical, you're going to get extraneous solutions. So we're going to want to check our answers pretty much on all of these. All right, so if I go with 11 plus 5, right, I'm going to substitute in 11 for x. So I get 11 plus 5 minus 1 equals 3. Right, that's square root of 16, which is 4. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. So I would get 3 equals 3. So this answer checks out. Okay, if you want to use your calculator, you certainly can. Let me move this to the other. Well, let me just, pull this over here. Okay, so I could just do square root 11 plus 5 minus 1 equals 3. And I hit enter, and it tells me that that's true, so it checks it for me. So I can also use my calculator to check my answer. Okay, or I can do it by hand. 11 plus 5 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3, so 3 equals 3. All right, the next one. Let me change it back to black here. So I want to get my radical by itself, so I need to subtract 2 from both sides. All right, that leaves me cubed root of x on the left. And on the right, it leaves me 2. Okay, to cancel out the cubed root, I need to cube both sides. So to the third power on both sides. The cubed root of x cubed, that's basically, you can think of the cube as canceling off the cubed root. So I just get x. And then 2 to the third is 8. So there would be my final answer. But again, I want to check my answer. Okay, cubed root of 8 plus 2 equals 4. That's going to be 2 plus 2. I'm going to get 4 equals 4, which is good. And again, you can just take your calculator. Cubed root of x. Outside, we have plus 2 equals 2 or 4. Was it 4? I think it was 4. Oh, something happened. Oh, yeah. We're plugging in, sorry. Our answer was 8. So we're plugging in cubed root of 8 plus 2 equals 4. True. All right. So good on those. All right. So real quick, if we do the triads, we're going to subtract 3 on both sides. So I get square root of x minus 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. I'm going to square both sides to get rid of the radical. I get x minus 2 equals 4. I add 2 to both sides, so I get x equals 6. All right, I'm going to check my answer. 6 minus 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5, so I get 5 equals 5, right, which checks out. Okay. Over here, I'm going to cube both sides. to the third power on both sides. That's going to be x minus 1 equals 2 to the third is 8. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I get x equals 9. If I check my answer, cubed root 9 minus a 1 equals 2. That's going to be the cubed root of 8, which is 2. So I get 2 equals 2, which again checks out. And if you got to use your calculator to check those, that's perfectly fine. All right, so that's example 1. All right, example 2. All right, we are going to solve for x and identify the extraneous solution. A lot of times this is going to involve factoring. So we're going to get quadratics and we're going to have to factor. All right, step 1, we want to get the radical by itself though. And just like we did for example 1, we're going to want to square both sides here once we get the radical by itself. That's going to give me 3x minus 2 equals x minus 4 squared. X minus 4 squared means x minus 4 twice. So x minus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, I need to FOIL that out. So x times x squared minus 4x inner minus 4x, and then last is going to be plus 16. I can combine like terms. So it's going to be x squared minus 8x plus 16. All right. I want to now, since I have a quadratic, I want to move everything to one side so I can factor. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So minus 3x on both sides, and then I'm going to add 2 on both sides. That way I cancel these side out, the left side out, and I get 0. X squared minus 11x plus 18. All right, I can use my x method now. I need 2 numbers that multiply to 18, add to negative 11. That's going to be negative 9 and negative 2. So I have x minus 9 and x minus 2. Okay, which means my 2 solutions here are going to be positive 9 and positive 2. Right, so if I add 9 to both sides, I get x equals 9. If I add 2 to both sides, I get x equals 2. Okay, so we got to look for the extraneous solution. One of these is not going to work. So when I substitute them in, let me change colors here. Let me use maybe pink. We're going to do square root 3 times 9 minus 2 equals 9 minus 4. Now you can do this by hand if you want. So to me, this is 27 minus 2 is 25. Square root of 25 is 5. And then 9 minus 4 is going to give me 5. So this one's going to work. When I do the other one, though, I get 3 times 2 minus 2 equals 2 minus 4. So this is going to give me 6 minus, it's going to be square root of 4, which is 2, equals negative 2. That's not true. So that's answer. This one is extraneous. Extraneous. Okay, it doesn't work. And you can use your calculator for this, right? If you pull up your calculator, again, square root 3 times 9 minus 2 equals 9 minus 4. You hit enter, it's true. I can highlight it and try my other one, which was 2. So this would be 2 minus 4 and 3 times 2. And you can see that one is false. All right. We got two triads here. So again, you want to get the radical by itself. It already is by itself, so we're going to square both sides. So I'm going to square this side, square this side, square this side, square this side. And that's going to give me x squared on the left. And on the right, the square root's going to cancel with the square. So I'm going to have 7x plus 8. Since I have a x squared, I have a quadratic. I need to move everything to one side. I'm going to subtract 7x. And I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So I can't combine any of these. So it's going to be x squared minus 7x minus 8 equals 0. Right, now I have a quadratic. So I need to factor. So I need two numbers. All right, sorry. So we need to use the x method. So I need two numbers that multiply to -8 and add to -7. That looks like it would be -8 and +1. So x minus 8, x plus 1 equals 0, which means my solutions here are going to be x equals 8 and x equals -1. We need to check for extraneous solutions here. So I need to see if those are going to work. So 8 equals square root of 7 times 8 plus 8. 1 equals square root of 7 times -1 plus 8. Okay, I can use my calculator to check those. So 8 equals square root 7 times 8 plus 8. That's true. So that solution 8 is going to work. Let me try -1. So I'll put a -1 in here and a -1 here, and I get false. So the -1, right, is extraneous, and my only solution is x equals 8. Okay, the next one, I don't, we're going to square both sides. Okay, so I get x plus 2 times x plus 2, right? There's two of them. Equals x plus 2. Right? We got a FOIL. So x, first, outer, inner, last, right? So x times x is x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 equals x plus 2. Combine like terms, so I have x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals x plus 2. Since we have x squared, we have a quadratic. We want to move everything to one side. I'm going to subtract x on both sides. I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. So on my right side, I get the 0 I want. On the left side, I have x squared plus 3x plus 2. If we use our x method, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 2 and add to 3. That would be 2 and 1. So I have x plus 2 times x plus 1 are my factors, which means my solutions here are going to be -2 and -1. I just need to check those answers by plugging them in. So let's see, we would have up here, we would have -2 plus 2 equals square root of -2 plus 2. And for -1, we would do -1 plus 2 equals square root -1 plus 2. So again, you can just go to your calculator. -2 plus 2 equals square root -1 plus 2. Enter. Oh, sorry, -2 plus 2, right? I combined them, -2 plus 2. Yep, there's the first one, true. Now I can plug in the second one. So I got to change this to a -1. I also have to change this to a -1. And that one is also true. So in this case, both of them are true. So I have two solutions. X equals -2 and X equals -1. All right, and then I have 6 practice problems we can do. So let's work on these 6 practice problems. Okay, so first one, I have a radical, so I want to get the radical by itself. So I'm going to start by dividing both sides by 3. Right, so we divide both sides by 3. This 3 cancels, we get 22 equals 7. Okay, now we can square both sides. So we get x plus 22 equals 49. And then we subtract 22 on both sides. So you get x equals 27. All right, if we check our answer, you get 327 plus 22 equals 21. So that would be 3. That's 49. Square root of 49 is 7. 3 times 7, 21 equals 21. So we are good. Okay, we got cubed root of x plus 8. We need to get the radical by itself. So I need to subtract 8 on both sides. So cubed root of x equals 5. I'm going to cube both sides. So this will give me x equals 125. And that's going to be my answer. If I check it, cubed root of 125 is 5. 5 plus 8 is 13. That one's going to check out. If you don't believe me, just put it in your calculator. All right, next one. Again, we want to get the radical by itself. So I'm going to add 6. So I have square root of 75 plus x. Equals 20, right? 14 plus 6 is 20. Now I can square both sides. So it's going to be 75 plus x equals 400. Subtract 75 on both sides, and I get 325. Right? Square root 75 plus 325 minus 6 equals 14. That's going to be square root of 400, which is 20. 20 minus 6, 14 equals 14. This one is good. All right. Let's look at the bottom 3. Okay, we got the radical by itself, so we're going to square both sides. That's going to give me 8x plus 9 equals x squared. I want to get everything on one side so I can factor, right? Because we have an x squared. So it's a quadratic. So I'm going to minus 8x on both sides. And minus 9, subtract 9 on both sides. That's going to give me 0 on the left. And then I get x squared minus 8x minus 9. I'm going to use the x method. I need two numbers that multiply to -9, add to -8. That's going to be -9 and +1. So I have x minus 9, x plus 1. Which means my solutions are going to be x equals 9 and x equals -1. If I check my solutions here, right, I'm going to have 9 times 8 plus 9 equals 9. So that's going to be 72 plus 9, 81. Square root of 81 is 9. This one is good. So this is a good answer. And then if I try the next one, 8 times -1 plus 9 equals -1. That's going to be square root of 1 is +1. So I get 1 equals -1. That's not going to work. This one is false. So x equals -1 is extraneous. All right, next one, radicals by itself. So I need to square both sides. On the left, 2 squared is 4, x squared is x squared. On the right, we get 17x minus 15. I'm going to subtract 17x from both sides. I'm also going to add 15 to both sides. Since it's an x squared, we want to move everything to one side. So now I have 4x squared minus 17x plus 15 equals 0. All right, A is not 1, so we have to either do factor by grouping or use the box method. So I need to do A times C, which is 60, and then -17. So this is going to be -12 times -5 is +60. -12 plus -5 is -17. So I'm going to split up this into -12x minus 5x plus 15. Okay, if you want to do the box method, right, you would have 4x squared minus 12x minus 5x and then 15. When I factor out of the first two, I'm going to have a 4x, right? And what's left here is going to be x minus 3 minus. Okay, the second two terms, I'm going to factor out a -5. So I'm going to have x minus 3, which leaves me 4x minus 5 times x minus 3. Okay, if you use the box method, it's going to be same thing here. So this would be an x. This would be a -3. This would be a 4x. And this would be a -5. All right, so we got to set each of these factors equal to 0. I add 5 to both sides. I get 4x equals 5. I divide by 4. X is going to be equal to 5 over 4. X minus 3 equals 0. I add 3 to both sides. I get x equals 3. Okay, I'm just going to use my calculator on this one. So let's see, my original is 2x. Let's put it over here. 2, so 2 times, let's do 5/4 first. 2 times 5 divided by 4 equals square root 17 times 5 divided by 4 minus 15. Enter. That gave me true. I'm going to highlight it. Let's do 17 times 3. And over here, this would be 2 times 3. That would give me true as well. So both of these answers gave me true, right? They both gave me true. So they both work. Okay. Last one, we square both sides because the radical is already by itself. So I get x squared equals 56 minus x. I'm going to add x to both sides. I'm going to subtract 56 from both sides because it's a quadratic, so I'm trying to get x by itself. So I can't combine any of these, so I'm going to put them in order. X squared plus x minus 56 equals 0. Right, so the whole point was we're moving everything to one side so we can factor. So now I need two numbers that multiply to -56 and add to +1. 8 times 7 is 56. So +8, -7. which means my solutions are x equals -8 and x equals 7. All right, let's see, -8 square root 56 minus -8. I missed my equal sign. Okay, so it'd be -8 equals square root 56 minus -8 becomes +8. That's 64. Square root of 64 is 8. So I get -8 equals +8. That's doesn't work. That one's false. Okay, my other one's 7. I did the same thing. I forgot the 56 minus 7. That's 49. Square root of 49. 7 equals 7. That one is true. So x equals 7. Okay, that's the notes for example 1 and 3.